Good morning, everybody. Uneducated economist here. I put out a couple of videos the other day having to talk about the housing market, and they got quite a good response to it. But then I realized that after I had put the videos out that a lot of people thought that I might have been the owner of the store that I work at. And I'm not. I'm an employee there, and I didn't want to misrepresent the store or the owner of the store. So I deleted those videos, and I thought I'd come back out here again and try and explain the way I did in those videos, because they were pretty decent videos. I don't know if I can do it quite the same way. But this is what I've experienced. I work retail at a lumber yard, right, at a building supply. And I do a lot of contractor service as well. So when contractors are coming in and they need, like, say, a deck package put together, or they need, this pricing on certain materials or whatever, I'm the guy they come to, right? Lumber yards have different structures to them. So we do have another guy who does, like, the outside contractor sales kind of aspects of stuff, right? And he's like, he's reading blueprints and he's talking to the contractors about their house packages and stuff like that. That's a kind of a different department than I work at, but I see what's going on there, right? Because I'm involved with that as well. And I can tell you now that there's not nearly as many house packages going out as there was. I personally am taking a whole lot less phone calls, all right? I get a whole lot less special orders coming in. So when somebody was coming in and say they needed a front door replaced, or they needed some windows replaced, or they wanted to replace all the windows in their house, or they needed new siding or something like that, I'm the guy they call, right? When they're looking for a contractor to do some work, it's me that they call to look for them. So I'm on the front lines. I see it, right? And I can tell you now, building supplies, like the framing lumber, 2x4s, plywood, and stuff like that, stuff is dropping. It's dropping significantly too. And it tells me that there's not nearly as much building going on, right? Some prices are staying the same. Cedar, metal, anything that's made of metal is going up. But the actual domestically made stuff, like the 2x4 framing lumber and the plywood and stuff like that, that stuff is starting to drop. It's starting to drop because people aren't building as much, right? And so over the last 6 weeks, I've noticed a slowdown in it, and I've asked the other guys too, and they all feel it, right? But I go and I ask some of the contractors out there, and they're like, no, man, I'm still booked. I'm booked a year out. Well, yeah, there's plenty of work that's still to be had out there, right? There's still plenty of people who are willing to fork over money for fixing up their house or doing that kind of work. But the bulk of it, the boom, that's done, all right? That part is over. And if you go and you look at some of the like housing stocks, like, I don't even know anything about stock market, right? I really don't. I just punched into the Google housing stocks, right? And it gave me a list. I wrote them down and checked them out, and all of them are down, right? All of them have made the turn. They're all starting to drop. And just out of curiosity, I put into the Google stocks that short the housing market. And I came up with a bunch of ETFs that, and those of you who don't know what an ETF is, an exchange traded fund. It's where they take, like, a group of, like, an exchange traded fund could be like anything, right? It's a way to access the market, to access a particular market without actually having to be in that market. So say, for example, if you wanted to buy silver, right? There's a silver ETF out there. It's called SLV. I don't recommend that you buy it. I'm just telling you for your information purposes what an ETF kind of is. And what these guys have is they have, like, this vault that says they have a bunch of silver in it, and that you can buy into their vault, essentially, with an ETF. And here's a representation of our vault, and it costs this much per ETF to get in there. And it's just like buying a stock, right? So you just punch SLV into your, whatever it is, your portfolio thing, and there's your stock, and you can buy it, okay? So ETFs are an exchange-traded fund. They basically just represent another asset out there. And you can buy ETFs that short the housing market, okay? So I went and I looked at some of those, and one in particular, basically the day that we were talking about the housing or things slowing down at work, that stock turned around, right? So, yeah, here we are. We are definitely in a slowdown. Interest rates are beginning to rise. Housing market is cooling off. Not nearly as many people coming through the door. And yeah, I mean, I feel it. The guys at work feel it. I think pretty soon, the people out there working on houses, they're going to start to feel it. Instead of people coming to me looking for contractors, contractors are going to be coming to me looking for people to do work, to hire them. Okay, so that's when I'm going to see the difference. That's when I'm going to know that things have shifted again. Is when I start seeing those contractors coming in saying, "Hey, I need some work. I spreading my name out there. I'm looking for some jobs." When that happens, that's when you're going to know that we have turned, at least getting to the point of turning around. But right now, like the everyday of people calling me looking for contractors, that has ended, and pretty soon it's going to go the other way where contractors are going to call me looking for people to, that they can do work for. And, and that's kind of where we're at right now. We're still like at the top, where the prices are still pretty high, but they are starting to drop now. They're going to start coming down. They call it a buyer's, coming into more of a buyer's market. Well, it's going to become a buyer's trend. Okay, guys? It's going to become a buyer's trend. I was listening to a guy, his name is Harry Dent, right? Harry Dent does a great job talking about the housing market, and he was talking about Japan, right? And Japan had a huge, huge housing boom, right? But then when it crashed, when it fell off the cliff, it never came back. And you know why? It's because they had a huge baby boom generation and not a big enough demographic of people following up behind them to buy the houses. And that's, I think, is going to happen here too. So we have this huge baby boom generation that has bought up all these houses, and the next demographic of kids coming in to buy this thing are all these young millennials who are riddled with student loan debt, right? I mean, are these people actually going to be buying these houses? And remember, dyers are sellers. So as the baby boom generation begins to die off, like literally like grow old and die, these houses are going to come onto the market for people who don't want them or can't afford them. They're already riddled in debt and they won't be able to buy them, right? So prices are going to have to come down. They're going to have to come down in order to meet the capabilities of the next generation to buy them. They don't have any other choice. So if you're thinking about buying a house to flip it, unless you're picking up a hell of a good deal and you think that you can throw a coat of paint on and get rid of it right away, then cool. But right now we're kind of on the other side, and houses are going to get cheaper and cheaper. So flipping houses is not going to be the easy money like it used to be. I mean, there was a time when you could buy a house, do nothing to it but sit on it for a few months and then sell it for a profit. Those days are over. Okay, guys, those days are done. Talk to you later.